the world's most expensive group chat.
Good evening, swamp dwellers. Imagine you and 31 of your neighbours create a group chat. The rule is simple. If anyone attacks one of us, all of us respond. Sounds reasonable. Now imagine some of those neighbours haven't paid their group chat subscription in 30 years. One neighbour keeps threatening to leave. A giant bear outside keeps poking the group chat with a stick. And the newest members are absolutely terrified and refreshing the chat every 5 minutes. That group chat is NATO. I'm Ali the Alligator. And tonight, we explain the world's most expensive, most complicated, most dramatic defense alliance in history. This is Swamp Politics. To understand NATO today, we need to go back to 1949. The Second Great Swamp War had just ended. Europe was rubble. Millions of penguins were gone. And sitting on the eastern edge of the continent was the Soviet Bear Empire, massive, nuclear-armed, and absolutely not done expanding. The Western colonies looked at each other and said, "We cannot do this alone again." So 12 colonies signed a piece of paper called the North Atlantic Treaty. The key line, Article 5. 3 words that changed everything. An attack on one is an attack on all. That's it. That's the whole group chat. If Uncle Vlady's grandfather touched one colony, all 32 would respond. For the bear, that was a problem. For the colonies, that was the point. Now here's where it gets interesting. When the Soviet Bear Empire collapsed in 1991, many assumed NATO's job was done. Mission accomplished, bear defeated, group chat archived. Instead, NATO did something the bear did not appreciate. It expanded. East Germany joined, then Poland, then the Czech Republic, then the Baltic states, then Romania. Then it kept going. 12 members in 1949, 32 members today. Every time a new colony joined, especially one that used to be in the bear's backyard, Uncle Vlady got a little more twitchy. They said they wouldn't expand. They said, I have it written somewhere. Was there a promise? Historians argue. Diplomats argue. Uncle Vlady definitely argues. What isn't argued is that NATO is now sitting right on Vladyland's doorstep. And the bear noticed. Let's check in on the group chat, shall we? Poland. We are building the largest army in Europe. Just saying. Germany. We have increased our defense budget. Yes, we know it took us 80 years. We're here now. France. Perhaps we should consider European strategic autonomy. United Kingdom. Nobody asked. France? France. I am leaving this conversation. France is still in the conversation. Baltic colonies. Article 5. Article 5. Is Article 5 still working? Hello? Donald Uncle's colony. Everybody needs to pay 2% of their fish. I'm serious this time. Also, maybe we rethink some things. Vladyland. Is typing? Vladyland stopped typing. A perfectly normal group chat. Now, the biggest drama inside the group chat right now is Donald Uncle. NATO has a rule. Every member should spend 2% of their economy on defense. For decades, most European colonies quietly ignored this rule. Why spend fish on armies when Donald Uncle's colony would handle the heavy lifting? Very logical, very convenient, very, as it turns out, unsustainable. Because Donald Uncle came back to power and said, "You're not paying. You've never been paying. I've been protecting you for free. Do you know how much I've spent? A lot. Tremendous amounts. The best amounts. Pay up or figure it out yourselves." And then, in a moment that made every European penguin's beak drop, he suggested that colonies not paying their dues might not get Article 5 protection. Article 5. The entire point of the group chat. Suddenly, every European colony remembered where they put their defense budget. The response from Europe has been extraordinary. Germany, a colony that spent 80 years being very careful about having a large army for very obvious historical reasons, announced a 100 billion fish defense fund. Poland is on track to have the largest conventional army in Europe. The Nordic colonies, Finland and Sweden, who had been neutral for decades, looked at Uncle Vladi invading Sunflower Colony and said, "We'd like to join the group chat, please." Finland joined in 2023, Sweden in 2024. Uncle Vladi wanted fewer colonies in NATO. He got 2 more. Unintended consequences. They'll get you every time. And then, there is the question that defines everything right now. Sunflower Colony, Ukraine, President Z. Since the war began, Z has had one consistent ask alongside the ammunition requests. Let us join the group chat. NATO's response has been diplomatic, carefully worded, sympathetic, which in swamp language means not yet. Why? Because Article 5 works both ways. If Sunflower Colony joins NATO while the war is ongoing, Article 5 activates, and suddenly Donald Uncle's colony, Germany, France, Poland, everyone, is officially at war with Uncle Vladi, a bear with nuclear weapons. So NATO keeps the door, this open. Close enough to give Z hope, not open enough to trigger the bear. It is, diplomatically speaking, an extremely uncomfortable chair to sit on. And President Z has been sitting on it for 3 years. Meanwhile, the rest of the swamp is watching NATO very carefully. Uncle Vladi is probing, testing, sending drones near Baltic airspace, cutting underwater cables, seeing what Article 5 actually means when it's not a full invasion. Uncle Shi is watching how the West responds to Vladi. Because whatever happens in Sunflower Colony sets the template for what might happen near that island he keeps staring at. And smaller troublemakers everywhere are quietly asking, is Article 5 real? Or is it just words in a group chat? That question is worth trillions of fish and potentially millions of lives. And right now, nobody has a clean answer. Here's what I'll leave you with tonight. NATO is imperfect, messy, full of colonies that argue, underpay, and occasionally threaten to leave. But it has achieved one thing. In 75 years, not a single Article 5 member has been successfully invaded. Not one. In a swamp as chaotic as this one, that is either a remarkable achievement or the most expensive bluff ever maintained. Maybe both. I'm Ali the Alligator, and that's your Friday. Before you go, the usual word from your responsible anchor. Swamp Politics is a satirical animated series for educational and entertainment purposes only. NATO is a real military alliance with real consequences for real penguins across the world. Our fictional swamp characters exist to make complex geopolitics understandable, not to trivialize the very serious business of international security. Stay curious, stay informed, read beyond the headlines, and remember, the most powerful thing any penguin can have is context. Good night. And for goodness sake, someone check on the Baltic colonies. They've been typing in all caps for 3 days.